hey, they gave me 2 pennies. I think this is the finance board full of goons. You know? So that was what I was thinking. Not like, oh, we have maybe like we have a sub qual with what we have. I'm gonna go appeal this all the way through.
Oh, so appealing.
Yeah, appealing is like an emergency situation. It's just going like, guys, I'm rubbing my pennies together and I can't do anything. So.
What's an example of an emergency situation that like
Yeah, finance board. Let's say the finance board's corrupt. All right, organization. Standardly requests like $3,000, but then they're like, the finance board goes like, here's $1. Even though this type of the ruling was theoretically out of line with similar level of events, it's just like, yeah, at that point, filing an appeal, which would, the way that I thought the appeal process working wasn't like on the finance board's budget decision process. It's more of like, the finance board is compromised. Hey guys, look at this.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, hey, of course we do that about it. They give me like
2 pennies, yeah. What's going on? And like similar organizations are having events like me as well.
Okay.
So it's more of like that, not of like, it's like when the legitimacy of the finance board is being questioned, the appeal process is there. Not, I disagree with the finance board, I'm gonna go for it. Like, well, of course they would be disagreeing, but you know, levels of disagreement.
It'd be on like a systematic.
Yeah.
Rather than like a
case by
like,
case.
yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Right.
I actually just talked to David Hoffman last week, and I just met with him to catch up, and I was telling him about the new system and stuff, and apparently, so this is based similarly what House of Organizations used to be, which was what the old finance board system was. They did a budget system similar to this, where students would have to submit a budget in the semester, about the upcoming semester, and what he said was like it would just get loaded with reallocations come like when the actual semester came in, and you have new officers being like, no, we want to change stuff around, and like I tried to reassure him that we would have kind of like different stable now because the finance board would actually be involved with student orgs in that budgeting process and helping them through that as liaisons, and like I'm wondering what else we could do now to kind of prevent that, or like just like manage reallocations or however that goes with student orgs being like, we want to shift money around because we actually don't need as much for this, especially when they come to being like in the semester meeting with Brit Spears and they actually don't need $1,000 for audiovisual.
Yeah. I mean, it's just in that case, well, theoretically the finance board is judging everything line by line. The money isn't free for you to move it elsewhere. And in that case, the money would be returned to finance board for additional allocations that the finance board sees fit. The finance board saw fit to allocate your organization $2,000 doesn't mean that you can move $400 from ECS into your food allocation. Yeah, so it's just like generally I wouldn't see reallocations occur unless it's like I can't think of a situation where like something, Scott?
Like if they're like, oh, we don't want to do this event anymore, we want to do a new event instead of that one, like would the money stay in that like line items and be inaccessible to finance board because we delegated to them?
If it was a similar
type of event,
if it's a similar type of event, you're allowed to shift over to it, I imagine, or like you just. The way that I thought about this one is they're not like specifically named events. It's just like, hey, I want to have this type of event occurring this time in the semester. How much is finance board giving me? And then the finance board will issue estimations off of that in comparison to all the other organizations on campus and say, yeah, for that type of event, the finance board is willing to give you $4,000 for these specific line items. How you use those line items, the finance board doesn't particularly care. As long as you hold something of that sort. You can't just go drastically and say, like, I wanted to hold an event on campus, but I actually want to go to conference. No. That's at that point, the finance board will probably issue sanctions, going like, sorry guys, can't do that.
Don't use sanctions.
Oh, penalties, limitations.
Restrictions.
Yeah, restrictions, there we go.
But I think to add to your point,
Ban hammers, there we go.
And I don't know about like Dave's knowledge of the history of like House of Organizations, but I mean since like everyone had a representative and they like weren't electing finance board members, that might expedite the process if there is reallocations because like nobody has vested interest. Like we'll have vested interest in organizations, but not like specific categories or groups.
Totally.
Like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't be about all my work equally.
Right, but that's how I would see it. It's like in theory they shouldn't need it because the broad description of what they're submitting in their budget package shouldn't be like, I want to have specifically this event, and the names and everything says. It's like, I want to have this type of event. How much money is the board willing to give me? It's just like, okay, we have an estimate of how many people are supposed to be attending, etc. Finance board, fine. We seed you like creative control of your event, as well as some financial backing.
Wasn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't initially the thought process, so like let's say Carly, you're granted $1,000 for this event. Here generally is what she wants to use on, but like she's allowed to use that. If ECS ends up going up, she can use that for that if she wants to.
Generally, we wouldn't want that. It's just like, the way that I thought about it was that it was freedom within line items, not freedom within how to use your overall budget. It's just like, I don't want people going, that's how I thought of it.
Oh, okay. I think you didn't need to talk to Colin about this. I was actually just talking to him about
Colin thinks it's like freedom of use?
No, he thinks it's like budgeting like generals for each line item and then staying within those line items for like whatever you propose. Like he's thinking like you write a budget proposal and then like we have a template of like title, table of contents, here are the few things you want to do this semester, and then here's our budget, each line item, and they have to stay within those line items and kind of abide by, like, so that we could look at it and get a picture of this is what they want to do, this is what their budget wants, boom, fine, done.
Yeah. I mean, we could also do it that way, frankly. I mean, I don't
So
think
he's thinking of it as like more detailed and I guess more limited in that line item should make sense.
Okay. I mean, was that way I thought that?
I was thinking of it as a kind of limited in line item, like these are the things we need and here's our estimates, like ECS 250, decorations this much, food this much, but if one shifts a little bit, like ECS maybe a little more, decorations a little less, and they're fine.
I think we can grant like ECS and stuff like that, but like with the decorations, food, if there's going to be line items, I don't think they should be shifting. At that point, finance board made a determination $2,500 is how much we're willing to spend on it. You can't just go and shift another, we'll use some with decorations, shift 3,000, like go 3 step of 3,000. I mean, that's not what the finance board said. It was a reasonable amount for you to spend on that. It said $2,000, use it how you want. Yeah. Like for ECS, though, that's perfectly fine. I mean, for shifting ECS, you have to have it. I mean, those are optionals.
And obviously, that'd still be within the limits of the precedents, like.
Oh, no precedents anymore.
Well, I mean, like equipment committee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not buying alcohol, for example.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's that, Scott. We can move on to the next one if you'd like to.
So I'm kind of confused, but I think we should have this figured out before Monday.
Oh, indeed, you know it. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to give you confusing information.
So would 2.2 include something about reallocations, or you just want to further specify within whatever you're
Further specified within line item or whatever it is.
Right.
Or we can honestly delegate it to the finance board at the next one.
to figure out what that means, or just
Because we have to think of everything.
Are reallocations within the budgetary statutes, or is that within
they
the
are.
the treasurer?
Nope, it's within. I mean, well, it's the powers of the treasurer.
Oh yeah,
so.
reallocation is all.
Yeah.
With that,
But I don't like seeing it like that.
I think there should also be like some other measures of accountability if we're like delegating all this responsibility to the orgs.
Okay.
Like,
That does?
maybe have like the liaison check off when they like submit it to SABSC or something, or so there is a second pair of eyes from SGA before it goes to like the faculty or whatever, or professional staff. I don't know what they do.
Oh, like a final, like when they submit their final budget, just look it over again.
I know this is being like requests for spending.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to do. But it's like procedural rules, to be honest. Yeah, that would be within the finance board liaison system. Yeah. But that's definitely something to consider. Perfectly fine. Right.
Because that seems a little micromanaging to me. If they have to pass a budget through us, and then every time they have to spend something from that budget, they have to get an okay, or like.
I mean, isn't SABC already supposed to be doing the okay?
Of like what they legally can spend?
Yeah,
and stuff?
I mean, yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, they just look to see if the money's there and if it's something that
They
SGA
can buy.
can't
For
purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care if you bought like.
Yeah, so I don't see the need for, SABC is a little bit there to do that. Yeah, Scott?
Yeah, it's like you can't buy alcohol and other
Yeah.
things, but
that's what we'd be,
That's
that's what we'd be holding them accountable for. Like, you need to know that you can't buy alcohol and like train fair within 100 miles of whatever the rules are and all that stuff.
Indeed. I mean, well, I think what we were doing, thinking was providing guidance to like David or something like that. Generally, I mean, that's his job as the SGA paid accountant, I believe. So I don't see why we would need another layer on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
we could definitely consider it.
But I see your point.
Is there like any way that SGA has oversight to, because we have, I think in this it says we have like the power to audit and stuff, but how would we know if something's wrong in the first place?
David.
I mean, who would have the receipts?
Figure out the receipts and everything, and for when anything's reported.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, I guess more like, so if obviously if there's a request that's sent to him, it's like we allocated it on like $2,000 for food, and it's like $100,000 request for like wine. Like obviously we would see that and it'd be like, no.
Really now? Yeah.
So I mean, is that the like the accountability part? I guess. You're talking
I
about
don't just like most things should be caught through SABSC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean those are like the big policy breaking things. Of course, there's SGA policy, and
One thing that I think maybe
provided. We're like, you know, SGA policy, we don't have too much significance other than you can't pay students. You know, I don't think that's an SABSC policy. I think it's
Is that
finance board
SGA?
policy. That's SGA, I think.
I thought it was university.
because it's student activity.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So I think
Oh,
that's
yeah,
us.
that makes sense.
So I think we definitely need to provide David the resources he needs to stay in like to check for SGA policy. But
I also don't know if he's aware of like what the like equipment policy is within SGA.
yeah, I'm about that too.
Yeah, that would have to be. Yep.
I don't think we said we could definitely create a document for Dave, like just a checklist of things SGA does not fund. And then you go, yeah, all this stuff's good. All right, you're good to go. Everything else. Yeah. And also it relies on, hey, the finance board should know all this stuff. Do we know all this stuff? That's the good question. But,
Okay,
Yeah.
so are we getting these?
yeah, I think we're good with this one right now, Scott? Okay. Is there any other stuff?
Just like small things. I finished.
Isn't this already for any event intended for anything? Okay. What's this one say? Is this on like restricted funding stuff?
It's for restricted funding status. They may only receive SGA funds for the purposes of holding events which are intended for and open to all UMBC undergraduate students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that already like the qualification
Yeah.
for a regular event?
They just
Like,
like copy and paste.
Yeah, that was a copy of it.
It's not how it is for regular funded groups. Like that's the actual policy for restricted funding groups. Probably just copy and pasted because
Yeah.
it has to be in there
Yeah.
if you're keeping it. But that's not the necessarily what it is for
Open groups.
funded groups.
Okay,
Yeah.
funded groups.
For example, the one group coming in tonight is ticketing $10 per ticket for their event.
Yeah.
So like groups that are fully funded are allowed to ticket and attach a price. Wow, I could not speak today. But restricted funding groups are not allowed to do that. It has to be open. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Moving on. That type of stuff. It's not particularly random. I mean, it's just like a 1% base. It's like you can't just like we're just not gonna have this type of stuff. We want to maintain the source, keep it in there, fund at minimum 1%. You know, it's just like okay, you need to spend some money on upkeep.
I'm not on source.
Yeah. If 1% is what, $275? $2,750. Yeah. So,
No, the proposed budget's an increase because the marketing and merchandise fund are going to be added to finance board budgets in the report.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's going to be more than that.
Whatever
So
that
it's
is,
like,
but just to maintain a minimum level standard.
I don't know if this will be discussed because I don't remember the rescheduled meeting, but we were supposed to meet with Dan and Jen on this and the source because an MOU has been signed.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I guess just in passing the budgetary strategies. I mean, I can be updated on that, but our meeting just got canceled the other day because of the weather. So,
Right.
Yeah, because we technically don't have like an actual agreement between Campus Life and SGA. So, but there is an MOU typed up. We just have to meet with Dan, and he needs to actually sign it for it to be like quote unquote binding.
So then like the other stuff is that 25% of the finance board budget can be allocated off-campus opportunities. It's just the majority of money shouldn't be spent off campus and stuff like that, and for it seems reasonable to me. So of course this is not much to go off of our arbitrary level of finance board stats. If we'd like to increase or decrease it, our nice to do so. Remember, this is budgetary statutes. This type of stuff also is just like, in my mind, it gives people something to campaign on. It's just like, no, I want to increase the 35% to vote for me. I'm like, oh, okay, go ahead. I mean, if you have 2/3 vote, go ahead. Then no more than 10% is because ad hoc system should be ad hoc. Sure, you can give more than, it's like if the finance board really thinks that there's going to be a bunch of secondary things coming in, like next year. Like, I imagine organizations aren't going to be fully prepared yet. Exceptions probably will be made. Having a bit more money in the secondary allocation process makes more sense. But no more than 10% makes sense because it's secondary, right? It's like keep it nice and down. And all this added together for me is because 65%, I wanted to make it 66, but it's a little wonky. So, but at least 66% of the funding will stay on campus for those students to be able to access. Yeah. So that's my thought process behind it. Reword.
That one sounded weird to me.
The finance board will consider the following factors to determine opportunities, benefit, priority to the undergraduate student body.
What do you mean by opportunities?
And just like anything that's funded by the finance board, it's an opportunity.
Okay.
Because what we say, when we split the funds, off-campus opportunities fund, on-campus opportunities fund. So opportunities was the broad word that we use.
Oh, for on-campus.
You spelled it wrong.
I spelled it wrong. Whoopsies. It happens, everyone.
And you said these are in no order.
No order, yeah, in no order. We need to make
I think
it
we
explicit.
talked about that. I don't think we should.
Yeah, we talked about it, but we need to make it explicit. No order, no particular order.
I think it could still be reworded though, like the finance board will consider these factors when distributing funds or something better
Okay.
than that. So,
Come up with some wording, Scott, and we'll see how it goes.
I thought that was pretty good.
I like the part about benefit and priority to the undergraduate student body. I think it's just the word opportunities. That's like the word.
Yeah.
You should just say an event.
Oh, it's not just events though, because it needs to be broad enough to include off-campus stuff.
A requested budget's benefit and priority.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm not particularly attached to the wording, everyone.
Okay.
Whatever you guys think sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Requested.
Budget request or requested budget?
Doesn't matter. Requested budget or requested
Budget request. That's what I have no idea.
Requested budget.
Requested budget.
I have no attachment.
I don't know. It rolls off the tongue. It rolls off the
The
tongue.
words we use matters very little to me.
Requested.
Determine a requested budget's
Yes.
benefits and priorities in a fair survival.
Okay.
Bet.
Cool. Cool, Joshua.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, you hate that keyboard.
So loud and like the keys are so like
The tactile.
I don't have a question.
response.
I actually like that game.
No, that's too narrow too, because this also applies to the ad hoc system. You can't just do budgets.
Oh, heck. No.
No, because in the ad hoc system, there's still
That's
requested
technically
for
still a
budget.
budget.
Yeah, still budget.
Requested
Because we
request.
look at them right now as
Requested
budgets.
request.
Requested.
Requested.
Yeah, so we good.
I feel
Why
like
is 5.2 empty?
that's what I think.
Yeah, get rid of that.
Wait.
You still, but it's still
Oh.
5.
Yeah, but you still
I guess. That's
Is-
weird.
You can just make that
Why
5
did we
point.
dead
Yeah, it just moves everything out one.
Yeah, you just get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Delete it. Doesn't matter.
Oh,
should we
it's
say
well,
yeah?
then it's fine. Let's move on.
Will you add a comment there so he knows to fix
They
it?
do
Yeah.
And say in there.
Like just highlight the 5.2 to add that
Like
comment.
no
That makes sense.
particular.
No particular order.
Perfect. Just be like, fix the formatting. Yes, it's in all caps.
Oh my gosh, from yourself.
So angry.
it's fitting for me. So.
Memento.
Okay.
Well, 5.4 seemed redundant. Like,
But just maybe fully funded, partially funded, or whatever it is, not funded.
Or not funded.
Or not funded. That's just to establish powers, because we don't. We know that. Other people might not. Like, well, we have to give them something. I'm like, we literally do not have to give them anything.
Clear as glass.
Yeah. Just because remember, this is not just for us; it's for future people as well. We assume maybe that in 30 years, people are like, or whatever years, because who knows how long it will last. But we were like, we're all new. Do we have to give them the money? Here you go. You don't have to give them money.
To be perfectly clear, people say like the finance board reserves the power.
What, like
Actually fund or
Sure.
not fund any budget.
You don't like the word sure or
Like we reserve the power to do that.
Finance board holds supreme power.
Not like supreme power,
Ah.
like has the right.
Dan will be so happy right there. Daniel
Redundancy is good though and stuff like this.
Yes.
Makes things explicit, you know. Like, don't assume people know things because they probably.
okay. And that's the farthest I got down.
Okay. All right, everyone.
What about
So,
everybody else?
by Monday, please put more comments in, or I'm gonna be walking in there going like, so guys, I was reading through this and this thing, I'm like, wow, I didn't see it. To be honest, you're right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I don't like that. What's up, Scott?
For the town hall, are we all going to be on stage, or am I going to be in the audience, like heckling you?
It's fine. You can throw tomatoes at me. I'll be like, wasn't me, all right? Probably. We are in the Fine Arts Recital Hall. 30 some people currently have RSVP, so you know. How many? 30 some people. Wow. Yeah. So people like, you see me like walking on Monday, like, what happened here? And I'm like, there's an angry mob. There's an angry mob.
man, I can't. I was fine with stuff.
Can the finance board use 3,000 of its funds to have little dude there to make it fun?
All right. Seeing that, we can close that off, and now we have. Let's take a 13-minute break before the first organization comes in. Everyone.
13.
Half an hour.
It's 7:30.
My bad, everyone.
7:15.
You gonna come earlier?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
It might be earlier, but it says 7:15 on the agenda.
Okay, let's just take 15 minutes now, and then if they're outside, we grab them and we'll get started. Okay?
Is everything open?
Recess.
Everything is open. I think close at 8-ish. Then we gotta be healthy to open.
Salad.
Let's go get a salad.
Don't get a
Salad.
salad.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, Yum
What?
Shop's already closed.
I can't.
No.
I go to the bar.
Oh!
What?
Do I eat the donut? Yeah. I do not eat the donut.
Why didn't you eat my Valentine's donut?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please
Oh my
don't.
God. What?
Oh my god.
Please no.
Huh?
Oh no, please no.
No. Yeah.
I would like to keep my current hair color.
Oh, but we have
I'm very lost in the
face.
blue. I literally have it right now.
I want to get my highlights redone pretty soon.
No, just
What do you
stop.
mean?
Looks like an egg yolk.
No.
It is. That's a
Oh,
prize.
it
It was so basically last year is that
My
old
culture.
that.
You don't understand the stakes of this. I have
Hair.
sold my hair.
For what?
Oh, to dye my hair.
Blue?
For what?
Blue? Never do it?
It's not on.
I'll
Hello?
be right back.
Where's the live stream?
Dude,
I'm sorry.
I'm glad.
Y'all
If I can't go with my parents with blue hair, I'll really so I'm gone.
It's okay, Scott's the only like conservative person in this house.
I was
He's
blonde.
safe. He's safe.
Have you seen my driver's license, right?
No, I haven't.
I have not seen your driver's license.
color?
That was an oof.
You were an oof.
Aren't there black and white now?
Scott wasn't always.
Oh!
You look like Jeffrey Dahmer.
That is very
We're not going back to that.
Stop.
You have to remember, Scott wasn't always this.
That was very.
Is the live
wow,
stream
that's
not
like-
on or
The
not?
live stream is on, oh no.
Wait, is the. Oh,
Wow.
never mind. I'm not going to say what I was about to say.
We're gonna turn the live stream off, actually.
No, but then you just gotta turn it back on. Yeah, what's the